Hey guys, Rob Skiba here for another TestingTheGlobe.com video presentation. Today is June 15th, 2017, and I just realized, thanks to Facebook's Memories feature, it pops up, this time so-and-so years ago you posted whatever, that it was 2 years ago today that I put up my website, TestingTheGlobe.com. And as you can see from my Facebook post here, 2 months later, on August 16th, I took it down. Then 4 days later, I put it back up and have remained a punching bag / glutton for punishment ever since. Was it worth it? Not in this life. Definitely not, I can tell you that. So I can only hope that it will count in eternity, because this research has been by far the most frustrating, painful, often depressing, exciting, and dare I say, extremely addicting of anything else I've ever looked into before. About the same time as I was building my website, I saw this now quite famous picture by Joshua Nowicki, and then of course the resulting ABC News report with the weatherman saying that what we were seeing was a mirage. Immediately I became obsessed with proving it wasn't, and about a year later Rick Hummer and I rented a boat and proved it absolutely was not a mirage. I'm sure many of you have probably seen that video by now. If not, you can go to my YouTube channel and check out the highlight video of that trip. It was also about that same time, back in 2016, that I got a phone call from a guy named Victor Brewer. And being another video guy like Rick Hummer and I, he was just as frustrated by all the footage being put forth as proof of the globe that was shot with a fisheye lens. Now, in that regard, about a month after I put my website up, I also posted this video on YouTube. In my blog series at TestingTheGlobe.com, I've shown that the alleged curvature is not even detectable at 120,000 feet when people send up weather balloons with cameras not fitted with a fisheye lens. And by that I'm talking about, there's some videos that I have on my website there, and you can do videos yourself, do some searches on YouTube for videos of people doing high altitude weather balloon tests where they're sending up weather balloons, and if they have it fitted with a camera that doesn't use a fisheye lens, I mean, that thing's going up to 120, 121, 127,000 feet and spinning in 360 degrees and showing the horizon flat as a pancake, as opposed to the Red Bull video or typical NASA video, which is always, it seems like, always shot with a fisheye lens. And that's easy to tell when they're using a fisheye lens. First of all, like in the Red Bull deal, when that dude gets out of the capsule and stands out and they cut to the camera outside looking at him, the curve of the Earth is so ridiculous, the size of the planet would have to be less than that of the moon. And that dude would have to be jumping from like millions of miles away, or at least hundreds of thousands of miles away. I mean, the curve is just insane. And whenever the camera tilts at certain angles, I mean, it goes from convex to flat to concave to flat to convex to it's going all over. It's an incredible morphing Earth. That's what happens when you use a fisheye lens. And a lot of the cockpit footage that I've seen from like these Russian MiGs and stuff that people are sending me that get up there really high, same thing. In fact, you can look in one of the shots over the pilot's shoulder there. The wing is all warped. So yeah, we got to be careful with curved lenses or glass that we're looking through. And that's why, for me, I've basically had to just throw most of that stuff out, because it's inconclusive at best. Because you look at one and it says, oh, well, there's a curve. And you look at another and it says, well, no, there's not a curve. Same altitude. But still, people kept sending me articles and videos shot with fisheye lenses over and over and over again. It's, and this one right here became quite popular this past January. I mean, I can't tell you how many times someone either emailed it to me or posted it all over my Facebook page or on other forums and whatnot, saying stuff like, oh, this is all the proof we need to, quote-unquote, put flat Earth to bed for good. The frustration of that absurdity led me to making the following as part of a video that I actually never finished, but here's a little clip Forgive me for being so sarcastic, but that's just the way I was feeling after seeing stuff like this over and over and over again. Yeah, it's funny because in the beginning, everybody was mocking and laughing and saying you're stupid and saying, oh, if you've ever been to the beach, you've seen boats, disappear over the curb. If you look across and you see buildings, the lower parts of buildings are missing, so it's over the curb. Well, I mean, if the lower portion of buildings are disappearing in less than 20 miles and ships are disappearing in less than 5 miles, well, the ball's not that big. It's just not. If a boat is disappearing from your view because it allegedly rolled over the curve, then it's not so big. And when you start pointing this out to people and you get the Nikon Coolpix P900 and start watching ships go right out to sea, they don't disappear. They'll ignore all that evidence. And when you show them other evidence that may explain why the lower portions of buildings are disappearing due to angular perspective, visual acuity, and refraction and things of that nature, their cognitive dissonance won't let them let go of the idea that we live on a ball. And you show them, hey, there may be another way of looking at this. For instance, here's some footage I shot at a lake near my house. And I think it illustrates quite well how perspective works. Okay, see that boat going across? As I zoomed all the way out and I'm looking at that boat, it looks like it's pretty much right on the horizon of the water. But clearly it's not. Now, when I was zooming out, you can see the difference right here between the two. See, when you're zoomed in, there's the distance between the bottom of the boat and the horizon versus the fully zoomed out where, the distance is obviously much more compressed. Everything gets compressed at a distance like that. So that's one of the things I want you to consider. And the next thing I want you to consider as we get into this is the whole issue of, do we really see ships going over the curve? Now, if we do, that's going to start to happen at between 3 and 4 miles. I mean, at 4 miles, you should be losing 10 feet worth of a ship. At 5 miles, it'd be almost 17 feet worth of the ship. 6 miles, 24, 7, almost 33 feet, and so forth. So here's a short clip from an interview I did on Patricia Steer's show with Patricia and Mark Sargent regarding what I saw. Because that's when you see this hard line. You see all the waves and all the detail in the water, and then there's this hard line. And you can see the waves, but it's a hard line right there. And when the ships got to that line, they didn't start disappearing hull first or at all. They just started flying off into space. That's what it looks like. Yeah. They went right past that hard line. I'm going this way. So going right past the hard line, and then it literally looks like, because it's a hard line, and then beyond that, it's just kind of like the same color as the sky. Yeah. Which at that time was the color, orangish sunset. They start floating up into the sky, but you can tell they're still on water because you can see the reflection of the ship on the water. And I could see them go all the way out until they eventually, it gets really distorted at this point. You do run into mirage issues, and but I mean, you can watch them flying off into the sky, reflecting on the water until they eventually morph into this blob that you can't really make any details out in it. But that's easily out to 4 miles, if not a little bit past that. Never did I see anything disappear to the camera's eye. To my eye, regular eye, sure, you can imagine the illusion of the hull disappearing first. So as you can see, here's a still frame of the boat way out there, at least 4 miles out. I should be losing 10 feet of the ship, but I mean, even though it's distorted with the mirage there, you're not seeing 10 feet of that ship missing. You're not seeing just the top of the ship. You're seeing the whole thing out there. Now it's all wavy and distorted, but it's there. And here's another video by another YouTube channel, God Rules, talking about the same kind of thing, with the other people sending in footage of ships that they're watching with high-powered camera zooms and telescopes. Same thing. They're not seeing ships disappear.
When the chimneys of the ferries disappeared under the water, I used my binoculars. So in other words, with his eyesight, he looked at this ferry, and when the chimney had gone beneath the water horizon, okay, so it looked like it went over the horizon, as they claim, like, oh, it looks like the ship sailed over the horizon. So it actually went completely under the horizon at normal eyesight, is what he's saying. Okay, so he said it disappeared under the water. I used and then he pulled out his binoculars to look, and the fairy was there again. It popped up again. So in other words, when he looked with his plain sight, the fairy is over the horizon, as they claim. But then he took out his binoculars and looked at it, and there the fairy is. It didn't go over the horizon. You could see the bottom of the fairy. You could see the entire fairy. When it disappeared in my binoculars, so it was continuing to sail away from him. So now he's looking through his binoculars until it disappeared with his binoculars. I switched over to the telescope immediately, and the fairy appeared in its entirety again. So in other words, every time you got a stronger magnification, the fairy's back there again in front of you. It didn't go over the horizon.
So more and more people are doing the same thing. They're taking cameras, they're taking telescopes, they're taking binoculars, they're going to the beach and they're watching ships going out to sea, and the more they zoom in, there it is. Now, there are sometimes issues where the hull is starting to disappear, and I dealt with that a little bit in one of my early videos, where I show a possible reason for that could be that it's actually a mirage effect. I'm going to suggest that what we're seeing is the same exact effect that we see when a car disappears wheels first into a mirage. Now that may be the case, but let's go a little deeper. Okay, going back to this picture right here, showing the perception differences when you're zooming in and out. Here's another shot right here. This boat came into view as I was zooming out. Zooming out, zooming out, zooming out, and it rose higher on the horizon. See, when I was zoomed in on him, there's all this space right here from the bottom of the boat to the horizon, and when it's further away, that distance shrinks. So our eyes start playing tricks on us. Now, to better illustrate this, I created this little animation right here, and this represents about a mile worth of ocean. All right, so when you're looking, you can see the difference in how each of these ships looks like it's higher and higher up on the water level. Now that's on flat water, no waves at all. Now let's look at this same animation. I created some waves no higher than the height of the camera. In fact, a few times you'll see the camera go right through the waves, but the wave height was about as high as the camera, which was just a little bit above the water. Okay, so let's look at the same exact animation, this time with some waves. Okay, there's wave, 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 wave. Okay, over the distance here, the cumulative effect of the waves obscures the hull of ships. That's just what happens with the perspective. As the ships get higher and higher up on the horizon, as you get further and further away, and you have the compounding of the waves over that distance, it's really easy to see how you end up with the illusion of ships rolling over the ball when it has nothing to do with that at all. This is a flat plane. Here's the two pictures side by side, with flat water, with no waves, and then with waves. In both cases, the more distant ships rise up on the horizon, but in the picture on the right, you have the waves obscuring the hull, and over the distance it accumulates, so you lose more and more of it. And if you don't believe me, just take a trip out to sea. I did recently with my family do just that, and I put the camera right at the edge of the ship, so roughly 2 to 3 feet off the water at the most, and we're barely a mile away from the shore here. And just look at these waves. Look what's happening here. Okay, these are 3 to 6 foot high waves, and this is what they consider calm seas. Oop, I just lost the building. Wow, the entire building was obscured by the curvature. No, by waves. Okay, and look at this. Uh-oh, I lost the mountains now due to the curvature. No, due to 3 to 6 foot waves. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize if you just zoom out, to looking out to sea, if you're looking out to sea at, let's say 5, 10, 15, 20 miles, that the cumulative effect of all of those waves, and they get higher the further out you go, these are calm seas, 3 to 6 foot waves a mile off ashore. Okay, but as you go further and further out to sea, the waves are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and your perspective is going to kind of squish them all together till it makes a nice straight line across the horizon, and guess what? It's going to obscure anything behind it. That's how perspective works. And again, if you don't believe me, just take a trip out to sea and just sit there in the waves and watch how much the waves will obscure whatever it is you're trying to look at. The other big problem with the ships going over the curve argument is what happens to the horizon when you go up and down on the y-axis. When you go up on the y-axis, the horizon doesn't change. Now, let's assume we're looking at eye level right there, and the horizon's right across our eye level. When you rise up on the y-axis, the horizon stays at that same level. Well, maybe it's hard for you to see in this animation, so let me do more of a basic one right here. Here's the horizon, right here. If I go down, it stays the same on a plane. And if I go up, it stays the same on a plane. That cannot happen on a ball. If you saw ships roll over the curve on a ball, like this, the horizon's right there. The only way you're going to see that ship is to rise up on the y-axis, but when you do that on a ball, you lose it. Now, here's a more practical example. Just watch cars go over a hill. You know, get down on the ground. This is my iPhone. I put my iPhone on the ground. I'm watching cars drive by. There's a nice truck right there. They're about to go down a hill. And now here's the horizon right here. This is, you know, the horizon to my camera. And if I want to see those cars, I just have to rise up on the y-axis. Now, I didn't keep it all steady right there. So as the camera comes back to pretty much the same level that the eye level of the camera, as it were, you see the distant horizon right there is the same. It's exactly the same. Now, again, that was sloppy because I was just doing it with an iPhone, and you know my hands didn't keep it exactly the same. But if you were to rise directly up on the y-axis with a camera on a tripod or a crane or something like that, you'd have the same exact thing that you observe anytime you've flown in an airplane. You know, doesn't matter how high you go, that horizon just follows right up with you outside your window. You know, when you're sitting on the flight line, you look out, there's a horizon at a certain level, and when you fly up to 35,000 feet, that horizon stays at the same level. That cannot happen on a ball. On a ball, when you rise up on the y-axis, there's no way the horizon is going to rise with you, especially if you think ships rolled over that curve in just a few miles of distance. If you lost, you know, 20, 30 feet of a ship disappearing over the curve, then just like the example of the cars, you know, if you want to see those cars again, you got to rise up on the y-axis and look down at the ever-increasing slope of the hill to watch that, you know, truck or car or whatever continue down the hill. The same thing should be if you're watching ships disappear over the ball on the z-axis in front of you, you know, in a few miles of distance, and you're losing 20, 30 feet worth of the hull, then you should rise up on the y-axis, look down the ever-increasing curvature of the ball to see that ship receding away on the curve. But that doesn't happen. You see ships go away from you on the z-axis, but there's no indication of the same exact curve on the x-axis, and when you go up on the y-axis, the horizon pops up with you. That should not be if we're on a ball. And yet still, we continue to hear stuff like, you know, if you've ever been to the beach, just looked out at the horizon, you've seen the curve left to right. Well, that's not true either. Go take pictures on the horizon and throw a parallel bar over it, and you're going to see it's perfectly flat. Oh, if you've ever flown in an airplane, you've seen the curve. Okay, well, go fly in an airplane. Most airplanes fly below 40,000 feet. Take a camera that doesn't have a fisheye lens on it. Start taking pictures. You think you're seeing a curve because that's what you were programmed your whole life to believe. And yet, as soon as you take a picture, bring it into Photoshop, put a parallel line over it, whoop, it's flat. So then they say, well, no, you can only see it over above 60,000 feet. So people send up weather balloons. And even with the fisheye lens, it ends up being flat. I mean, here's God, these guys just did this test recently. It started showing up on all the science websites earlier this month. Students film breathtaking curvature of the Earth using high-altitude weather balloon. Science Daily, right? You know, you would have thought that the curved rope might have been, you know, your first indicator that you might not be looking at something quite the way you think you are. But even if, I mean, they even had another website, the Science Explorer, again, the heading, student project captures images of Earth's curvature. Yep, sure did. Start watching the video, and, you know, I don't know why they just stopped the video right here at 4 seconds in. Why didn't they post this video? Students capture the curve of the Earth at 50 feet. I don't even know if this is 50 feet high. It may not even be that high. All right? But it's the same curve. It's the same curve. Physics.org. Students film breathtaking curvature of the Earth using high-altitude weather balloons. Same thing. Blah, blah, blah. Same nonsense. They got all these screen captures of the curve of the Earth, and it's always the convex curve of the Earth. Why did they post this picture? Physics students at the university prove the Earth is concave. It's unbelievable. You know, if you look at this footage, I mean, it proves the Earth is actually just a big morphing blob. I mean, sometimes it's flat, sometimes it's concave, sometimes it's convex. Depends on which screen capture you want. I mean, you can post on websites everywhere. The incredible morphing Earth. Physics students prove the Earth is morphing. No, you start pointing these things out to people, and you know, every time you say, well, ships aren't disappearing over the curve, look, here's the evidence. You know, it's like the scene in They Live. You know, you're trying to put the glasses on, and it's like this 15-minute fist fight. Just all he wants to do is get his friend to put the glasses on, but they won't listen. They won't even look. You can show it right to him. There's a ship. He's gone out 4 miles. Oop, 5 miles. It's still there. Wow, there's the entire skyline right there. Look at that. I'm looking across about 100 miles across right there. No visible curvature left to right. Huh. Wow, I'm up at 100,000 feet. Weather balloon. 100,000 feet. Look at that flat horizon. At eye level, by the way. Something that is absolutely physically impossible to happen if we're on a ball, as I'm trying to show you with this video. Wow. Then last month, which was May of 2017, I saw Doug Hamp had posted something similar to that other article. He posted the video of Mythbusters where Adam Savage got up to, I think it was 70,000 feet, and oh wow, looky looky everyone, we can see the Earth's horizon is obviously curved. So on May 1st, Doug writes, I think flat earthers are the psyop trying to suck gullible Christians into a vortex of insanity. And my response was this meme right here. Doug Hamp and others regularly make fun of flat earthers. They continue to mock, ridicule, and call people names while grossly misrepresenting Scripture in a vain attempt to justify their belief. Then they have the gall to post stuff like this from Mythbusters as proof for their beloved globe, while calling us gullible and insane. Laugh out loud. Now that's a special kind of wow right there. But who is really seeing what they want to see here? You see where he's got at this top comment right here. He says, you are seeing what you want. Look again. He's got this picture of the ridiculous curvature over the wing of the airplane. So who's really seeing what they want to see here? Funny how they missed the same proof of curvature shortly after takeoff. You see that right there, right behind Adam Savage's head, as they're just lifting off the runway. You know, maybe 100 feet, 200 to 300 feet, you know, not very high off the runway. There's that curvature right above his head. Incidentally, the same curvature that they saw at 70,000 feet. They also miss the fact that he's wearing glasses and he's looking through a seriously curved helmet through a curved window and using GoPro cameras, which show convex, concave, and flat horizons. But he says we're the crazy ones denying what is painfully obvious in this example. He's got another picture right here. Look beyond the flat earth gurus and their false claims. Got a picture at 70,000 feet. Then he says, a fisheye lens doesn't curve things that much. And I'm like, no? There's the same curve just after takeoff, Doug. Then he says, why deny what is painfully obvious? And I'm like, indeed. At, I think it was at peak altitude right there, you've got a perfectly flat horizon behind Adam Savage's head. Why? Because that's the center of the lens, and at least GoPros will show what is really there when it goes across the center of the lens. When it goes across the top of the lens, it's going to be convex, and when it goes across the bottom of the lens, it's going to be concave. So, yeah, look at what's painfully obvious there. And if you need more help, there's a guy on YouTube named Paul on the Plane who's got a really good video called Mythbusters Busted Faking and Lying About Curvature - Flat Earth. Here's a few clips from his video. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to watch the rest of it.
And from this height, 67,500 feet, Flat.
The edge of our planet has a definitive curve to it.
Did you catch that? So, looking out this window, you see the wing of the plane pointing down below the horizon, so it's in kind of a bank here, and you can see the lens distortion at the top of the frame. But when they switch to the other camera inside the U2,
it is
where's the curve? Well, the lens isn't distorting it there. So we're at what, 67,000 feet at this point of the video, and the camera that's pointing directly at the horizon, or level with the horizon as far as its perspective, as far as its angle, and no lens distortion, so it's flat. Okay, so here we are at 70,000 feet. So this is as high as they're going to go, and you can see the lens distortion. Obviously, the wing again pointing down towards the ground below the horizon. So we've got the lens distortion at the top of the frame.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen, 70,000 feet.
How tall or how high are you there, Adam?
70,000 feet.
70,000 feet. Okay, let's go back to your frame, and where's the curve behind you? Maybe it's just on the side. Maybe we live on more of a like a tube, right? We just have the curve at certain angles. It's not a sphere then. It would be more of like a toilet paper roll tube, right? So we've got the curve if you're looking at it from a certain angle, from a certain perspective, but if you change 90 degrees, it's just going to be flat. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, 70,000 feet.
This is my favorite shot here. Okay, so watch as the plane banks a little bit more. You'll see the curve become more and more defined, more well-defined. Obviously, a fisheye lens. If you don't admit this is a fisheye lens, then I got nothing else to say.
1,000 feet.
Here it comes. Look at that thing.
At this point,
let's watch that again.
1,000 feet. 1,000 feet.
This is called lens distortion, people. And we're back. Plane is level again. And where's the curve, Adam? Where's the curve? And look at that curve disappear as we go up, or it becomes less. Let's watch that again. Lens distortion is becoming less and less as the camera angle moves up towards the horizon, but now it's pointing down towards the middle of the screen or below that, so you've got the lens distortion at the top.
The complex exhaustive
No, not a fisheye lens.
Exhaustive
Not at all.
That is San Francisco. That's my home.
But
whoa, look at this. This is San Francisco here. Okay, look at the lens distortion here. Okay, the Earth would have to be super small. If this is San Francisco and that's the curve right there, that means the state of California is like half of the globe here. Come on, people, wake up. Yeah, state of California. This reminds me of the Felix jump video where he's jumping over Planet New Mexico. Here we've got Adam flying in a U2 plane over Planet California. All right, guys. So anyway, just thought it was fun. If you're not seeing through these lies and deceptions and the constant reinforcement that we live on this ball, then there's probably not much that anyone could do to help you. I think anybody that would take an unbiased look at that video and compare shot by shot and understanding how a fisheye lens works and seeing kind of incriminating evidence from the camera that's pointing to the back of the aircraft would see that the horizon is definitely does not have that curve to it that they're showing to you on the side. Should all be consistent. It should be.
And his last comment there that I have in this meme, he says, but even more souls will be lost because of flat Earth. Let's admit it. It is so silly. Most skeptics scoff and mutter under their breath that Christians, God, the Bible, and Jesus dying on the cross are ridiculous. Flat Earth drives more people away than it supposedly brought in. That is an extremely uninformed comment right there. People like Doug Camp and many others who want to say, this is just turning people away from God and from the Bible, it's a distraction and blah, blah, blah. Sorry. I've got countless testimonies, just me, of people who have come from either being, atheists, massive numbers of people who are converting from atheism to a belief in Yahuwah and are now reading their Bible, many for the first time, and some of them, and a lot of them starting to keep Torah and either gaining or renewing faith in Yeshua as a result of this research. And I know I'm not the only one. There are other people out there who can show similar testimonies from the videos that they've put up and the articles and blogs and whatnot that they've written. So, I mean, yeah, that is a statement in extreme ignorance, for sure. And I just got to say that seeing him post that was the last straw for me. After that, I knew we absolutely had to finally do what Victor and I had begun planning, actually a year earlier. He was a lot like me at that time, and perhaps even still today. I was calling myself a zetetic agnostic regarding this particular subject. Zetetic is somebody who proceeds with inquiry and investigation, and of course an agnostic is somebody who's not yet convinced, either way. Now, of course, I'm not a zetetic agnostic when it comes to the Bible, my faith in Yeshua, my belief in God, or anything like that. It was that I put that label on myself specifically in regard to this topic of flat Earth. And, Victor was a lot like me. He's just interested in the truth, and he was questioning things, and he found some of the evidence being presented intriguing, but, he's sitting on the fence. I mean, even today, I think he would say, he's like, look, I'm not a flat earther. I'm somebody intrigued by the evidence that he's been seeing, but he's still questioning. And he proposed a number of tests that we could do to test the globe, with one of them being a high-altitude balloon launch, but with a camera that did not have a fisheye lens attached to it. And it took some time to figure out exactly what we wanted to do, raise the money, of course, and coordinate everyone's schedule and all of that. But this past Monday, June 12, 2017, we finally did it. So the next few videos I'll be posting will detail what happened. This one is called The Plan and shows what we intended to do and how we hoped to do it. Oh, there we go. We're in Columbus, Ohio, dude.
Ohio.
Getting ready to do ourselves another test.
This will be the one that I've always wanted to do, man. This is the one that I've always wanted to do.
High altitude balloon test.
I should say the first one. This was the first one, and then obviously we did the Mirage test, and that was a slam dunk.
Almost a year ago. Almost exactly.
Yeah. It's amazing, man.
The man.
Mr. Skiba. My hands are wet from doing dishes. Forgive me.
This is Rick.
What's happening?
Rick, how's it going, buddy?
Victor? Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
So this is your studio?
This is the studio. It's kind of a wreck right now, but it's because we've been crazy busy. So
getting ready for a big test.
That's right, man. So welcome in.
Thank you.
Nice.
Infinite Impact.
That's one of our companies. So we have two companies here. We have Aerial Image Solutions and Infinite Impact. And Infinite Impact is basically like the media and creative services, and then Aerial Image Solutions is essentially just like the specialty drone services, specialty imaging, etc.
Cool.
So this is where I've been working on things and
drone up here.
Oh, dude, we do.
Oh.
We don't even use that one.
Nice.
So you're actually building drones too, don't you?
Oh yeah. I've built drones for. Actually, I built a drone. You're gonna love this. I built a drone for. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rocketdyne. They're the guys that produced all the rocket engines since the Mercury space capsule, or it was the Mercury program, and they contracted me through another guy to build like an endurance drone back like 3 years ago.
Nice.
So I drove it out to California. That was cool. That's like my claim to fame.
Wow.
So this is some of our drones here. Some more of them in boxes, that sort of thing. You know, we got the M600 there behind you.
Well, you got some big drones up there.
Look at the one behind you.
Oh,
man.
the wings pop up, huh?
Yeah, everything folds up. We got more in boxes in the other room, but
That looks more advanced than the lunar lander.
well, it is.
That's because it is.
It actually is. Very, very true.
Nice.
So I know it's like a wreck, but like seriously, we've been modifying drones for different projects, and then the balloon thing has just been like nonstop. After we did the first one, I had to jump on and try to modify for the second, so it's been crazy, man. So this is I know this is probably later on, we'll probably talk more about this. This is the control, and this is got an external module that we modified it with, and that's this is 433 megahertz. So this should go with the stock antenna, they say 50 kilometers, which should be more than enough. So I haven't modified this with this Yagi here. This Yagi antenna is what we're going to use to try to get video the whole way.
Oh.
This thing.
To try to stream it?
Yeah, we're going to try to stream it. The streaming has a lot of points of failure, but that's like the final thing I got to set up today.
So it's all directional.
Yeah, it's like super directional. Like
it's
like at 12 kilometers, it's like basically a kilometer wide cone.
So how are you going to do that? Put it on a tripod?
Well,
to keep it.
We actually, our plan was to put it on a tripod. My other plan was this. I had a friend of mine build this for us. But this is like a linear actuator for pitch, and we were going to try to mount it on the car. So have a guy basically control, like we got a big fat geared servo inside. I don't think we're going to have time to finish this up, but this was kind of like one of the ideas. It was like last minute, like, hey, let's mount it on the car.
I should have brought a yellow blinking light and put on top with the magnet, Chase team.
So this was the first balloon that went, or first payload basket that went up here. Using told the other one. What was amazing is how fast it came down, and even the cardboard fins were intact. So, I mean, look at that feat of engineering.
Wow. But, again, more advanced than the lunar lander.
More advanced than the lunar. All right. So here is kind of the secret sauce of this whole thing is a gimbal going underneath, and this has the 7.2 millimeter rectilinear lens installed in it right now. Now I'm gonna have to focus that today because I think it came unfocused in the last rough landing. The whole gimbal on the last one was destroyed, but this one is obviously a new one, and so the camera seemed to be okay. It seems to work fine.
What's your transmitter right there?
So in here you got this is the 433 megahertz receiver. This is the APRS transmitter. Okay. This is the 900 megahertz transmitter, and then the battery goes in the center. That's pretty much it. It's actually pretty simple. Then you just put insulation on top, and
you sure the signal's going to get through all that cardboard?
So radio reflective, completely radio reflective. It should be good. So we're taking bets as far as how high we're gonna go. I'm saying 123,000. My buddy said Tyler. So this is some of the guys in the office. Mike hasn't put his down yet. His is 123,560. Mine's 100. He's playing Prices Right stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna
He's like 560.
01.
01. So you gotta put down how high you think it's gonna go. Last time, like I said, we hit 113, and that was without hydrogen. Now we're running hydrogen this time, which is 8% more efficiency.
So explain that. You did a preliminary test.
So yeah, we did a preliminary test with helium just because we didn't kill ourselves the first time. Everyone's like, you can't. They didn't even think we would get it up. Like they're like, you guys, this is your first time. You're gonna explode it. You're gonna lose it. Well, we put a massive payload on it, and we recovered it. So I was pretty happy with that. And we hit 113,000. I think we're gonna hit 123. I think we'll hit 123.
Actually, you said 123,559.
Yes, 559.
All right.
And actually, all the prediction models put it at 42,000 meters, which is really close to the record.
What's your prediction, Rob? You want me to write you down, or do you want to hear?
I have to think about it. I don't know. When we think about it over lunch.
Let's think about it over lunch.
We don't have to.
We don't. Yeah, you don't have to do it right now. Bring it with us though. Bring the notebook.
Right.
We'll go get some food.
What are you doing now?
So I'm just finalizing kind of the wiring in here. You guys can see. I'm just kind of laying out the wires, laying out the antennas as well. It's important that the APRS broadcasts efficiently, and it's not. This isn't perfect either. These should be completely vertical, but they're not. I mean, I just don't have the space to do them vertically. And I really don't want to put straws on this thing. That's just a pain in the butt. So I'm finishing the antenna wiring, and I'm going to stick this one on and zip tie that one. Because zip ties and hot glue are the way to go.
So what's the camera configuration that we're...
Camera configuration is 7.2 millimeter GoPro. It's changed, obviously. You can see. In fact, we're going to do a lens comparison And we actually have a program that will analyze lens distortion. And so we're going to do a comparison between a GoPro 4 Black with a regular lens, and this one, as you can see, it's 7.2 millimeter. And this one's already been to space, so she going again.
So this is a 40 millimeter, not a 50 millimeter.
It's 40 millimeter, not a 50 millimeter. I couldn't find a 50 millimeter equivalent that was clear enough. A lot of them were just really blurry, honestly, the example photos. And so,
well, but 40, I mean...
40 is just as good, honestly. Yeah.
As far as trying to emulate the human eye.
And I'll pop it on and I'll show you, when you look at lines like that, it's perfectly straight. Like if it's a flat line, like with these curtains in here, I've done it time and time again. If I pitch it up even and line it up along the bottom, it's perfectly flat.
Yeah, so you never
it's representative.
You never get what you do with a wide angle or fisheye lens.
By no means.
But it's also still pretty close to what the human eye sees.
It's very close, honestly. It's very
40
close.
millimeter.
And I think the human eye actually.
It's a lot of people will say 50.
Well, what's interesting, 50 is narrower than the human eye, but perspective-wise, it's just about perfect. 35 is about the width of the human eye, is my understanding. 35.
Right. That's
roughly.
why everybody uses 35 millimeter cameras.
Exactly.
So we're right in the middle then with the 40.
Exactly. We're right in the middle, basically.
Kind of a sweet spot.
It's a sweet spot, I think. But this is as it gets up higher. And you see most balloons are just whipping around. This gimbal is counteracting. It's spinning above it like this. The whole balloon, the whole basket's spinning above it. Now this thing does drift slowly. It makes one rotation every 2 minutes roughly. But it really counteracts it well. I was amazed at how well. And you eventually see these. I don't know if you can see it down here, but you see all these. Let me upsize it and zoom in.
So, but it's tilted down. It looks like.
I know. I screwed up on this one. I pitched down quite a bit. Yeah. So that's why we've got to do this. This is a test. Yeah. Level outwards. So anyway, I pitched it down, and then you get some rocking a little bit. But if you look here. This is what's amazing. Do you see all these? Zoom in. Do you see all these lines here?
Yeah, that's where it's adjusting.
Those are all where it's impacting, but it's still perfectly stable.
Oh.
So the gimbal, this balloon basket's going like this through the wind, and it's reaching its roll limit, and it's impacting.
Bam, bam, bam,
just bam, 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 and you
how
can
high
hear
was that?
This is a pretty close. I think this is about 50,000 feet. We're closing in on 50,000 here.
Awesome.
But you can hear it, and here's another jet. I heard so many jets.
Yeah, he was saying that jets got so close you could hear them approach and go by the balloon.
I'll play the loudest one for you, but that's that's it reaching its endpoint limit. It just does this it does this for probably 20, 30,000 feet.
Now
Here, I'll play the loudest jet for you. I think this is the loudest jet here. Yeah, this is. Give it a second.
Have you notified the authorities we're going to be sending a balloon up?
Oh yeah, I do every time. Yeah.
Okay.
So every time, my one time.
Every time we do this.
Oh yeah. Every
one time. Well, no, because we have a really good working relationship with the FAA. Doing drones. Yeah. So you can hear this.
Oh yeah, I hear it.
You could hear this thing from a long ways away coming in. Got pretty close.
I got real close.
I think it's roaring by me.
Holy cow, man! It's
I bet you they're
everybody's looking out the window going, "What?" Wow, that got close.
That got pretty
Real
close.
close.
So
It would have been killer though if it was pointing straight out and you happened to see it was a chemtrail plane. Forget that, man. You'd have been.
Oh, I know.
You've been famous just for getting the best footage of a chemtrail plane going by.
So anyway, in preparing for this launch, basically we were looking for an antenna, or actually I was looking for an adapter specifically. I already bought the antenna from the company. The company is called Elcom Global Communications. And essentially I was on the phone with this person about 25 minutes into the conversation. We were looking for, this guy was very thorough and actually really helpful. And I'm talking to him, and he's like, so I'm assuming you're using this with a drone. And I said, well, normally that would be correct, but I'm actually putting it on, communicating with a balloon with it. And he said, oh, that's really interesting. And we kept talking. And then he goes, you by any chance aren't associated with our confidential client, are you? Which is just a weird question in general. I was like, okay, this is, how are you starting this out like this? And I'm like, okay.
That company that's...
And I'm just like, my antennas just start going, I'm like, what the heck is this? And so I said, no, I'm not, but I really wanted more information. I couldn't go, well, who's your confidential client? Please tell me, I couldn't do that. So I'm racking my brains, I continue on like it was nothing, and then I'm like, well, because we were, and this is the absolute truth. We're having trouble with procuring a balloon from, we were working with Raven Aerostar at the time, who basically completely stopped communicating.
No, this is the same company that did the Red Bull jump.
Red Bull jump, and they've done all Project Loon's balloons.
Okay.
I know that, right?
So we were originally trying to get a balloon we were trying to get a balloon from the same company that did the Red Bull jump, but it didn't work out.
It did not work out.
They're never returning phone calls.
Exactly. It took forever to get a hold of them. When I did get a hold of them, she's like, oh yeah, we'll get you a balloon. Cost $3,000. And initially she quoted me $100,000 or more for the altitude we wanted, and I said, okay, scratch that. What can I get for $8,000 or under? And she goes, well, we have a sounding balloon, which is the exact same balloon we're using, basically, for $3,000. And I said, well, I'll take that, because I wanted as high quality as I could get, and really didn't mind spending the money. But she's like, all right, I'll work up a purchase order. I said, great. Never heard from her again until like 4 weeks later. She's like, sorry, we've got this massive order. She's like, we've got, all of a sudden our volumes jumped, which is right after, and a whole other thing,
talking
to a colonel in the Air Force. And so anyway, long story short, we're talking to this guy at LCOM, and he basically ends up saying, I say, we need to find a balloon provider. Do you know who provides the balloons to your confidential client? Because we'd love to purchase a balloon from him. And he goes, he stops, this is one of those awkward pauses, and he goes, I would tell you if I knew. That was what he said. He said, but suffice to say, there are tens of thousands of balloons above us right now, and we supply all the communications for those balloons.
Tens of thousands of balloons above us right now, and projected to go to what, hundreds of thousands?
Yeah, that's what I learned from the colonel.
An Air Force colonel.
They petitioned. They recently received basically a notification that 150,000 to 200,000 more balloons are going to be released by somebody, and we're assuming it's Google because that's kind of But 150,000 to 200,000 is just insane.
10,000 balloons are above us right now already.
That's a lot.
With projected to go to hundreds of thousands.
So, and I think that's already done. Yeah. I think they've already modified, and I'm pretty sure that's done at this point.
Well, and that's, what type of span of time? Is that per year? Is that per...
Well, they're
reusable. Yeah. What the colonel told me is every 3 months, basically one descends. The Air Force puts high priority on picking it up.
They pick it up. They got it like a plane that has like a scoop, kind of.
A tether type.
Yeah, of thing, and then they acquire the payload.
And then they return it and they refurbish it and resend it up.
And then send it back up again.
Every 3 months. Yeah. It was cool. Look at this. You can see where they're hovering. You want to see? This is something
the plot thickens.
Things that make you go,
Yeah. So this is cool. This is from our laser spot that I've been scouting out. But that's our balloon launch from the laser spot.
Oh, so that was your last test?
That was the last test, yeah. So we're going to go
over so we're going to have telemetry that will show what our balloon is doing. Afterwards, we can map it out like this.
Oh, yeah. Go back to that, Victor.
So, this is where we're launching from. This is out here at my buddy Andy's house. That's the runway. And the first ping didn't come out until, I think it was... it was like 3,000 feet or something before...
I love that, man. That's so awesome.
Or maybe it actually was a lot less than that. But yeah, this is really cool. So you can see the wind took it. It was doing 130 miles an hour in here. And it was cooking. But this is what's really cool. This is what we saw.
Then it took off.
Well, it looks like it took off, but it slowed down. Each one is an increment of 1 minute.
Okay.
But
it hit a certain point. It slowed down, but it shot up in altitude.
Exactly.
Wow.
So what's interesting? This is what Google's using to control their balloons. This is called a tropopause. All right. And this is where the balloon will it slows down and it circles, and they rise and fall within that area to hold position. Wow. So it'll come back down. They'll drop it. It'll circle around. And rise back up, and they just do that for 3 months at a time. And that's called the tropopause. That's what they're using to control their balloons. It's really fascinating. And so they're venting, which is amazing. So then you see, once it hit the peak, it leveled that. We think this one had a leak because it's really slowed down on its rise. And so we think it had a leak and it didn't rupture correctly because when you see the footage of it rupturing, it completely envelops everything and the balloon came all the way down.
Yeah. And
normally it just stays up there.
It messed up the parachute.
Yeah. So you see it dropped about 4 or 5 kilometers a minute for 2 minutes, and it got halfway back down in under 2 minutes.
Oh.
So it was cooking. And then once it got through the tropopause, the wind caught it because the wind's really strong through it. It's about 100 miles an hour or more, depending on the day, and it just whipped it eastward. Because it had actually started coming back to us, and I'm thinking this thing's gonna just keep going, come right back to us. You know, it's gonna be
like
awesome.
a boomerang balloon.
Like a boomerang balloon. So this is the last ping we got at 6,900 feet, which was just like, it was heart wrenching because it was like, oh my goodness, we're not gonna be able to find this thing. Yeah, what I decided is I was bringing a drone and I was just gonna search from like here all the way out to like here, just like search the whole area and just fly. But I had an emergency beacon in it, and basically that emergency beacon functions on impacts. Oh. And there was one at like, it didn't tell the altitude, but there was one about, actually it was on this side of the road. It was like right here. One of them went off, the emergency beacon like popped there. And then there was one right here next to this tree in the field.
Wow, so it bounced?
Well, no.
Or is that when
was
the
the parachute finally caught?
Oh,
yeah,
the parachute,
so boom.
Parachute hit it and it jerked and
it was actually 12 minutes from here where it opened to here, which like is completely different. So the parachute had to open. At least the time code may be incorrect because 12 minutes seems really long but it is 6,900 feet. Like at this point, that's 6,900 feet. That's over a mile up.
Yeah.
So
could have hung up there for a while. I mean, the fact that even the cardboard little wings didn't get damaged.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, the parachute worked.
And we've got footage of us recording it because we got really nervous. We were like, holy cow, we're not going to find this thing. Even when we walked out here, this is electric fence. We crossed it. And
wait, did you find out it was electric?
No, well,
we found out when we tried to jump it.
Brandon was like, that wire's hot and that wire's hot. And I'm like, okay. And so we were able to get under it, actually. He jumped it, and I'm too fat, and so I crawled under it.
Nice.
So anyway, we're searching this area, and I'm really allergic to grass. And this grass is like chest high.
I know. He called me afterwards, and he's like, he's all
my arms were swollen, dude. So I'm
trying to tell me.
I'm wandering through this grass field, and it's like my kryptonite. So
grass is his kryptonite.
The grass is pretty much my kryptonite. And so we get out here, and I'm like, we can't find it. Because and so finally I just popped the drone up, and like, literally like 30 feet from us, it was right there. And so we got some shots of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll show you those shots. Those are cool.
When in doubt, drone it.
Drone it.
Pretty much, and it worked. But see, the balloon came all the way down with it.
That's a cool shot with the shadow of the drone, overhead,
and then
looking down.
In my bald spot.
Nice. That's a divot.
Look at that. That's a great shot.
So we just go straight up so you can see where it was, basically. Just
nice.
And then I do a little orbit later on so you can see kind of the location.
That's some serious production value right there.
Oh, I know, right? That's what I figured, just that shot alone.
Great stuff, man.
And so this one, I just kind of...
Wow.
And for some reason, the bit rate dropped at the beginning right there with the grass. It was kind of wigging out. But
Well,
look
drone
at that.
looks awesome, man.
Dude, what drone? Which one is that?
Phantom 4 Pro.
4K.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a beautiful shot. Look at that.
That's why I use proxies. It runs so much better.
Look at that flat horizon in the background, man. That's pretty killer.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. I dig it. I do dig it. I think I have something else in here. What do I have? Oh, this is when they were trying to race it. I didn't even get to watch this stuff. Mike's trying to keep up with the balloon, and we're going to do this again. But
trying to race it with the drone?
Yeah, and actually this is with the... What is this with? This is with the Inspire 2. So it actually... It's got some power.
Could you imagine the giant balloon that Picard was connected to?
Oh, yeah. I've seen the footage
Picard.
of it. August Picard, the dude that actually went up in he was the first to go into the stratosphere.
Huh, I didn't see that one.
It was in a popular science magazine from like 1930. August Picard. Look him up. So, what are we doing here first?
So, in general, what we're doing is we're setting up these antennas just to make sure they're as close to vertical as possible. And because I don't have enough vertical surface area, I'm running it kind of diagonal and then up, which should be fine. But these antennas really need long-running distance to broadcast because it's a really weak broadcaster. I think it's 25 milliwatts or something. But surprisingly,
this is for tracking, or
this is an APRS tracker. This actually got tracked all the way out in Indiana last time. We had guys picking us up all the way out there.
Did you guys set up something like this? Or what?
Yeah, this is a ham radio. This is the exact one that went up. Oh.
So they were picking you up as far as
Indiana.
Your audio, yeah.
Well, no, not audio. Well, this
just a signal.
This is a ping. All it is a ping. It's
okay, so they're hitting. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
And it basically pings 4 data points. It pings altitude, temperature, pressure, and humidity. So, but the thing is being inside the box, it's only going to really give one accurate temperature. Or one actually, which is the...
and all that's coming off of this
all
little...
of that's coming off that.
Tiny little gizmo right there.
One thing I want to say, which is interesting, you know, my original assumption was GPS didn't function above 62,000 feet because that's what everyone was telling me. I don't think that's true anymore because of this thing. So this thing, supposedly, see that little white portion right there in the back? That's the GPS antenna.
Oh.
Which is interesting. So it actually has, so most GPS doesn't function above 62, even 20,000 feet as low as like the cutoff.
Wait a second.
Yeah. So that little white piece in the back there.
What's going on?
That's the GPS.
What's the focus button on this?
Probably have too close.
Oh yeah.
Pull it back. It's all auto.
That's nice. So yeah, that little piece in the back, the little white thing.
That thing right there.
This thing right there. I'm gonna put my finger right there.
Yeah.
In the corner. So that is a GPS antenna. Focus, yeah. So that gets its altitude plus or minus, I think, 30 feet, something like that, supposedly.
What's this one right here?
This one right here is the 900 megahertz broadcaster. So this transmits, these are both ham band. This is 144. This is 900 megahertz, or 915, I think, more accurately. And this transmits the video. So this is the video comes up from the gimbal right into here, transmits into here. This beams it down, and then what we're going to do is it's going into the broadcaster, coming out as SD. We're going into an SD converter to HD. We're converting it. It's not going to be any better quality, but it's converting to HD, running it into a dongle that's going to convert it to webcam, and the webcam is going to broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah, laptop.
And what are we broadcasting this on?
The explosive truth, and we can broadcast it on both. We can set it up. So we'll broadcast it as much as we can, get it out there.
Yeah, I mean, if we can...
Definitely do Facebook Live, all of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we can...
Do it in real time in case something happens to us. Drone strike, whatever. Somebody put that on Somebody put that on the site.
Facebook Live, or can I do it on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We can do it on both, honestly, so it'd be good.
Yeah.
As many as we can.
I was going to say, as many platforms, why not?
Yeah, we'll broadcast as much as we can. We might even get Bob to broadcast it too. So that'd be cool.
Might even make we may make the news.
Oh, hey, buddy.
Hey, sorry,
this is
am I
interrupting? We'll just finish up this clip and then we're good.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now, and then what I'm going to be doing is installing this 5100 milliamp hour battery. This should be plenty of juice to run both cameras and gimbal.
Pretty hefty. That's the bulk of the weight right here, huh?
Yep. But I cut down almost 400 grams by dropping a cell or a couple cell sizes.
Oh.
So this should be plenty.
So this is going to power all the gizmos and
Everything.
the camera. And right now we're planning on this camera right here.
Yeah, this is one of them.
With the 7mm.
7.2 millimeter. Yeah.
7.2. So that's like a 40 millimeter
Yeah,
equivalent.
40.035 is the equivalent.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is, look at this. This is what's so amazing about this gimbal. Is if you let it rotate, this thing can rotate for eternity. I tore one of these down, the one that broke. They have the most ingenious method of allowing it to free rotate no matter what. It'll continue to rotate and it'll never stop. But there's wires in there, right? So what's amazing is it's got these cylinders, right? These little discs. All right, there's a bunch of discs. And then it's got these wires, almost like piano wires, that clip around the disc. So the internal disc rotates. They're each one. It's like it's
almost like bearings.
Yeah, it's like little bearings. But imagine you had like a Venus flytrap with fingers around it, touching the bearings, and then there's plastic in between them. It's this tiny mechanism in between the motor, in the center of the motor.
It's like a generator, just like running the lines on a generator.
So this one with the gimbal, that'll keep pretty much a steady shot.
It slowly rotates, but it's way slow. Yeah, it's not spin.
And it'll be about as close to the human eye as we can get. It's between 35mm and 50mm, so it's right in the sweet spot there in the middle. And we're going to put, another standard GoPro on the side?
Yeah, that's the plan, standard GoPro, just so we can get a good side.
What about pointing one up?
Well, that's what we want to see, if there's enough weight, if we can get another one.
Saved enough weight, yeah.
If we could put another one, like maybe at an angle, so it's not looking directly at the balloon. So we want to see what happens when blue fades to black.
Yes.
And if we'll actually pick up any stars.
My thought, the simplest way to do this is basically punch two holes here, and essentially put a pad of foam and zip tie the shape. We can zip tie it so easily, and then it's basically looking up and out. Now what we would have to do though is we'd have to run some wire to power it from this. I'd like to see the rate of consumption, because that's the one thing I don't want to happen again. Is I don't want the gimbal to give out again like the last time. That's the main thing. So we just got to make sure when we total up all the consumption, it's not over. Well, it's just not over the amp.
What's our weight capacity again?
About 2 kilograms.
2 kilograms.
But that's including parachute and ropes, everything.
So we're limited on payload, weight, and we're limited
Power.
on battery power. Because everybody that hears about what we're doing, like, oh, you should do this, you should do that.
Everyone wants to have
If
something.
everybody understood what goes into this and what it takes, and you just listen to people and you expect to have this huge device on this.
Looks like the droid from Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Where's the monkey riding?
Exactly.
Yeah, we found.
I thought about putting a mouse in there.
We found Hoth base with
Hoth base. We found the Hoth base.
So, in addition to the equipment that we have here, you're going to also insulate this.
Yeah, so we're basically insulating it with pluck foam, same stuff you use for like a good camera case. And I just bought a bunch of it, sheets of it, and you just tuck it in and pluck out what you need to remove.
But we also got to heat this up a little bit so it doesn't get too cold.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So
We're going to put basically the hot hands around it.
Yeah.
So we'll put the hot hands around the battery, and that should keep it
So
plenty warm.
everything else wants to stay cool, but that needs to stay warm.
Exactly. The electronics are pretty much fine. What's interesting, though, is this is what's amazing about this gimbal. Most gimbals and their accelerometers fail with cold, like -10. And this thing lasted all the way up to the top. What's fascinating is their accelerometer is built, when I tore down the other one, I'll show you the pieces, their accelerometer is built right into the side here, and the GoPro actually heats it, because the GoPro gets hot, and the battery doesn't die because I'm constantly feeding juice into it through those amazing pins. So this gimbal, I'm gonna get commission royalties for selling that gimbal, dude. That gimbal, it was the Fayutech Pro 3D Pro Mini is like.
Fayus makes a great product.
Yeah, Fayou does make. Well, what's funny is before DJI was a thing, I used to use Fayou flight controllers. So I had a Fayou FY90, and they were terrible. Like I literally had to wrap it in like an inch of like door foam to make it work, and then I would like rubber band it to the drone. But if you just bolted it to the drone, there's too much vibration, and it would just freak out. The Fayou 90.
We're not using that drone.
We're not using that drone. No.
This is for 6 people to get a haircut simultaneously.
Everybody sit down. So we're not using this one.
No, this one's just, she's just eye candy.
Just some eye candy.
Just eye candy.
Twiggy.
The banding, there's like,
Baby.
yeah, I see banding. I see that.
Low on battery. Low on
Oh, man,
battery. Low on battery.
So this thing is like, I mean, it's huge. It's
This is the balloon that's going up.
No, this one had a hole in it. They
Oh.
gave me they gave me an extra balloon.
So we could take this and make a bunch of bulb things for.
I actually can't. I gotta send it back.
You gotta take it. You gotta send it back. Because I was thinking we could make ourselves look bald with this stuff, man.
You're already bald.
Yeah. So for the hydrogen, we made this. This thing should keep it from killing us. This seals pretty nicely, and then we're gonna tape it up around it. So
Did you say this should keep it from killing us?
Yeah.
That's reassuring.
So you just tape this up. It's sealed. It's a good seal. I mean, like you put a
You
piece
got
of
some
tape.
plumber's tape in there, right?
No, this thing took me about 20 minutes to screw in. It's so tight. Like this thing is not coming out. Feel that? I mean, there's no way it's coming out. The thing is not coming out.
So this is all the stuff that's going to be in the payload. We're shooting for having 3 cameras. We've got the one on the bottom hooked up here on the gimbal, and then the other 2 that we're going to try to put in here. That's the parachute.
Yeah, we're gonna overestimate. We're throwing the parachute in there, the rope, extra phone.
Put Rob's phone in there.
Send your phone to the upper atmosphere. There's that. APRS is in there. Spot tracker needs to go in. There's a spot tracker.
Anything else? Zip ties?
We're pretty good. We might as well. Let's see what the payload is.
We're away to payload.
It's the way
I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump right in your way. Would you turn on that thing?
So what's kilograms?
Yeah. What's the weight gonna be? Okay, we're 2100. That is a little heavy.
That's too heavy.
2100 is pretty heavy. It's basically one GoPro. We need to keep it like at 2 kilograms. So if we can save weight, I'm trying to think of another way to save weight.
I put a 6-inch sub in there. Thought it was a cooler. So we're over.
It's at 20?
2100. We need to be at 20.
Oh,
2000. So we're basically 100 grams over 4 ounces.
Oh.
So we need a spot tracker. We need this. Obviously, we need the parachute. I overestimated the rope. That's why I threw 3 in there. Could you weigh that and see how much one of those ropes weighs, real quick? Actually, I had 4 ropes in there. I have 4 ropes, so we might be actually.
This is like when my wife packs for a trip and we get to the weigh-in.
It's like
51 pounds. Take out a shoe.
55 grams.
That's 55 grams?
Yes.
Really? That was 55? Weigh this one. Do it again. Real quick, sorry.
Okay.
I think that one's heavier. That's why I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so because we need.
What if we use lighter rope?
I tried to find lighter rope. This is like the lightest I can find. I mean, I wanted fishing line.
Oh.
Well, we could get 30, but if we found a fishing store, we had to go quick and find a fishing store. And
Before it closes.
Yeah.
But then that might snap.
Well, as long as you get like shark fishing line. What's that?
Yeah.
How much is this one?
75.
This is 75?
Yeah.
That one's heavier.
Well, I'll tell you what. We honestly only need. How much is this? Or how long is this?
That was 55.
This is 55. How long is it? Okay, it's 48 feet. That's pretty long. Now.
Is that for the chute?
So we're doing. You know what? I think we're good.
Is that for the chute?
Yeah. So a portion goes from the top of the chute.
Yeah.
Goes to the balloon. So we're gonna need like a full length of this because last time the balloon enveloped my payload. Like completely, and just everything. And so that's the problem is we can't let it envelop the chute.
Okay.
So we need about 50 feet from the chute to the balloon.
Okay.
And then we probably need at least another 20 feet from the chute to the payload.
Okay.
So this is 50 feet. So really, honestly, we only need like 1.5 of these. So let's weigh it with 1.5. So let's just throw 2 in there. Yeah, throw these 2. Let's see what happens.
Shoot.
Let's see where we're at. We can try. Absolutely try.
Is that it?
Spot tracker. Where's the spot tracker? I think that's it.
Here we go. We're at 1970.
1970. We could probably do that.
Is that a good year or a bad year?
That was a good year.
That was a great year.
So we're good on weight.
I think we're good on weight, honestly.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video presentation. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, and share it on your favorite social media sites. There's a lot more to come, so stay tuned and we'll see you back next time.